This is Shanghai, China's most prosperous city, the financial heart of Asia, and the world's largest port. In the eyes of many people, it is the brightest symbol of China's modernization achievements, a synonym for wealth and opportunity. But today, let us turn the camera toward a different Shanghai.
At 3:30 in the afternoon, we begin our walk from the intersection of Sichuan North Road and Tanggu Road. The first thing we see is a continuous row of retail space for lease signs stretching northward. Across the street is the same scene. Massive luxury developments like Haitai North Plaza are still under construction. Further ahead stands the newly completed smart office CITIC Plaza Tower, yet it is almost completely deserted, while construction projects around it continue unabated. At the bustling Haining Road intersection is Jinchao 8 Alleys, a project built by Hong Kong's Chongbang Group at a cost of 13 billion yuan. This is the actual scene on the first floor of its harbour commercial centre. Above it stand several Grade A office towers. The tens of billions of yuan investment made years ago poured into the centre of the inner ring should have been a guaranteed success. Yet today's reality tells us that investment decisions can sometimes be as uncertain as fortune-telling. Despite being directly connected to a subway station, the area is equally quiet. Sichuan North Road, once crowded and vibrant, is now filled with signs reading "Direct lease from property owner." Looking across the street, the situation is no different. At the Qujiang Road intersection, this building seems to have been fenced off for years. The opposite side is even more awkward. Retail space for lease signs line the street heading west, yet not a single shop appears to be operating. This is an old photo of the same intersection around the year 2000. This is the same intersection today. 25 years have passed. Why are there fewer and fewer pedestrians? As the sun sets, we arrive at the Dongbaoxing Road intersection. International Plaza, once bustling with activity, is now eerily quiet. The neighbouring shopping centre is completely empty at 6 in the evening, with massive clearance sale signs everywhere.
If you think Sichuan North Road is simply experiencing the natural decline of an old commercial district, what comes next may surprise you even more.
I am now at Shanghai's Bund. Across the river is the Lujiazui CBD. Today we are visiting the particularly eye-catching gold-coloured Aurora Plaza. At night, its entire exterior turns into a giant LED display. The lobby is extravagantly luxurious. Every elevator hall is decorated with European oil paintings, and even the trash bins are gold-coloured. Yet, the 19th floor is completely empty. The floor across from it is empty too. Entire floors are vacant. The 28th floor is empty and fully shut down. The 29th floor is empty as well. With a prime river view and what is supposed to be an elite vantage point, there is not a single person in sight. The office building across the way is also largely vacant. The 33rd floor is empty, the 35th floor is empty, completely empty. Can this still be called Shanghai, where every inch of land is said to be worth its weight in gold?
This is not an isolated case, but a common reality in Shanghai's office market.
I'm now in Shanghai's Zhenru district. Let me show you the current office vacancy rate. This entire building is empty. In such a large building, I haven't seen a single person. The buildings across the street are also basically empty, with no signs of occupancy at all.
The data confirms what the camera captures. According to Cushman and Wakefield, by the end of 2025, Shanghai's Grade A office vacancy rate had risen to approximately 23.4%. That means nearly 1 out of every 4 skyscrapers stands empty, a record high. Behind every darkened window may be a commercial loan still accruing interest.
I'm really not exaggerating. I've noticed that many people are quietly leaving Shanghai this year. Shanghai's current situation is genuinely not very optimistic. Why does it feel like Shanghai's economy is doing worse than some second and third tier cities? Have you noticed that Shanghai seems to be gradually getting poorer? There don't seem to be as many people dining in physical restaurants as before. One thing is certain now, Shanghai's population is indeed shrinking. Look at the cars and people on the road. This is Huaihai Road in the center of Shanghai. It's shocking. This row of shops near Guangxi North Road and East Nanjing Road used to have lines every day. Now there's no one here.
This is the current condition of Shanghai's brick-and-mortar stores. Out of this row of 9 storefronts, only one remains open. And this is directly across from the busy Qibao Old Street. Just imagine how difficult business has become.
Even a prime location like Huaihai Road has become this deserted. Businesses have closed. What a pity.
Have you noticed? The decline in people this year is extremely obvious. At lunchtime, I go downstairs to eat and the restaurants along the entire street are empty. Not a single customer.
Clothing wholesalers in Qibao are worried to tears. Chefs and restaurant owners are wiping away tears every day. Office building owners are crying. Fruit sellers, bubble tea shops, cosmetic clinics, real estate agents, renovators, even loan brokers are crying. Tell me, which industry in Shanghai today isn't struggling?
The vitality of a city is ultimately written in its streets and in its crowds. And the source of all this leads back to a harsher question: where have the jobs gone? The weakness in Shanghai's consumer market stems from mounting pressure on employment.
Shanghai's job market is unbelievably bad right now. Many people are unemployed, living in rented rooms, doing nothing but sleeping every day. I once met a young man who couldn't even afford cigarettes and asked me for one. There are also older people who simply cannot find work. At night, they take a blanket and sleep on someone else's sofa. Around Changshu Road in particular, any empty sofa tends to get occupied. I was born in 1986 and am now 40 years old, a Shanghainese. My friend was born in 1983, now 43, also a Shanghainese. Our combined pre-tax income used to exceed 40,000 yuan a month. Now, our combined unemployment benefits total only 4,800 yuan.
Official statistics paint a different picture. In 2025, China's average surveyed urban unemployment rate was approximately 5.2%. Yet there remains a significant gap between this overall figure and the lived experiences of many people. Where does this gap come from? One key factor is flexible employment. According to a report by the China New Employment Forms Research Center, there were about 280 million flexible workers in China in 2025, a figure expected to rise to 320 million in 2026. Based on China's approximately 725 million employed people at the end of 2025, this means more than 40% of workers were in flexible employment. Under official definitions, anyone who works more than 1 hour per week is counted as employed. Many internet users therefore argue that for a large number of people, so-called flexible employment is effectively unemployment. If people had stable incomes, who would willingly endure such uncertainty? Even more concerning is youth unemployment. China's unemployment rate among people aged 16 to 24 rose from around 10% in 2018 to a record 21.3% in June 2023. The government later temporarily suspended publication of the data, changed the statistical methodology by excluding students, and then resumed reporting. By early 2026, the figure still remained above 16%. Professor Zhang Dandan of Peking University estimated that if young people who had given up and stopped looking for work were included, The actual youth unemployment rate in 2023 could have reached as high as 46.5%. Meanwhile, the number of university graduates in China each year has surpassed 12 million. According to public reports, a recruitment campaign by China National Nuclear Corporation received approximately 1.2 million applications for 1,730 positions, an average of nearly 700 applicants per opening. As unemployment rises and fewer people have the means to spend, stores naturally struggle to survive.
Do you know how difficult it is to do business in Shanghai this year? These 2 vacant storefronts next to our shop have been empty for a full year. Last year they rented for 220,000 yuan. This year, even at 120,000 or 130,000 yuan, no one will take them. In the March to April peak season of past years, properties like these were almost impossible to find. Business in Shanghai has become incredibly difficult. My shop just closed. I sold fish balls in Baoshan district. There's no choice. People simply aren't spending anymore. It's impossible to keep going. Many friends who run businesses can't hold on any longer either. My fish balls are genuinely delicious, yet I still couldn't survive. 3 years. Vacant for a full 3 years. Everyone in the building has moved out. This storefront will probably never be rented again. There's not even a person on the street, and this is supposed to be Shanghai. Look at Tianwangqiao Street. Even second-floor units can't be rented out. The rent has been cut again and again. There used to be 2 internet-famous shops upstairs.
This is Wanan Street in Zhujing, once known as the Little Nanjing Road. Today, storefront after storefront sits vacant. Annual rents have been slashed by half from their former levels, yet it is still difficult to find tenants. The truth is not that consumption has disappeared. People simply refuse to pay premiums anymore and focus only on real value.
Consumption hasn't disappeared. People just refuse to pay premiums anymore. This blogger's remark reveals a deeper truth. Chinese consumers are collectively trading down. The amount of premium they can afford to pay has become increasingly limited. Official data points in the same direction. According to the Shanghai Statistics Bureau, total retail sales of consumer goods in the first quarter of 2025 declined by approximately 1.1% year-over-year. During the same period, the city's producer price index remained negative, falling 3.5% year-over-year in March, indicating persistent deflationary pressure. Quiet streets, vacant office towers, unemployed young people, all of these ultimately converge into an unavoidable fiscal issue. According to data published by the Shanghai Municipal Finance Bureau, in the first quarter of 2025, the city's general public budget revenue was approximately 255.2 billion yuan, up only 0.2% year-over-year, essentially stagnant. During the same period, expenditures reached 240.8 billion yuan, an increase of 11.2% year-over-year. Revenue has nearly stopped growing while spending continues to expand at a double-digit rate. This widening gap is a warning sign that deserves attention. Viewed in a national context, Fitch Ratings downgraded China's sovereign credit rating from A+ to A in April 2025, citing weakening public finances and rising debt. China's Ministry of Finance expressed regret regarding the decision and stated that it did not accept the downgrade. Shanghai, the super cash cow that for decades has continuously contributed revenue to the central government and supported numerous provinces dependent on transfer payments, is now seeing its own revenue growth approach stagnation. If even the strongest province-level city at the top of the pyramid is facing such difficulties, what conditions might exist today in the counties and towns of central and western China that were already under fiscal strain? Shanghai was once an almost perfect advertisement for modern China, a forest of skyscrapers, an international character, and a constant influx of foreign investment. People used to say that as long as Shanghai was doing well, China was doing well. China's state media says, "The sky is not falling, but numbers have a language of their own." When the financial center of the world's largest single market sees revenue growth nearly grind to a halt, while expenditures continue racing ahead at double-digit rates. When Shanghai, a city that has never needed fiscal support from the central government, begins to struggle with growth itself. When youth unemployment remains persistently high and the true figures may be even higher, is this merely the low point of an economic cycle or the beginning of a deeper structural transformation? Historians describe the decline of Rome as a slow collapse, not something that happened overnight, but a process of daily erosion until one morning people suddenly realized that the pillars had long since become hollow. And beyond Shanghai, in county towns and villages whose names you may never have heard, the story may already have quietly reached its conclusion far from any camera's view.